In this video, we're going to talk about the Creality K2 Plus. Is it a good printer? Is it worth the money? And ultimately, should you buy the K2 Plus? So I've had my printers going on several months now. One I've had longer than the other because I actually went out and bought another one. And I explained to you why I went and actually bought another K2 Plus and why I'll probably be getting more in the future. In this video, I'm going to go over the features of the K2 Plus, my thoughts on the K2 Plus after using it for several months. So my K2 Pluses have had their ups and downs. We're going to go over what those ups and downs are, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll know whether the K2 Plus is a good fit for you. So let's get to the video. So real quick, let's just cover the basics of the K2 Plus printer real quick. So the K2 Plus has a 350 by 350 by 350 build volume, which is massive. Now for what it's worth, it has a step servo motor system, and as far as speed goes, it's pretty dang fast. It has dual AI cameras, one on the print head and then one that's mounted on the right side, right on the inside of the printer that aims at the bed. Now it has a super rigid design, there's no doubt in that. This thing is sturdy, it's heavy, and it is quality materials when it comes to the manufacturing of the build of the K2 Plus. Now one of the biggest features of the K2 Plus is its ability to print multicolor. So Creality came out with the CFS, which allows you to print up to 16 colors and attach up to 4 different CFS machines. So you can buy these either with the K2 Plus as a combo, or you could just buy the K2 by itself, and then later on you can buy your CFSs as you go. I mean, it's totally up to you. Now you only need one CFS to utilize the multicolor feature on the K2 Plus. So if you just had a K2 Plus and a CFS, you'd be good to go as far as multicolor, but you would be limited to 4 colors at a time. Now another key feature about the K2 Plus is it has the active heated chamber. Now where this comes in handy is when you're printing certain type of filaments, it's going to actually allow you to print those filaments and do it successfully. Whereas other printers who don't have active heated chambers, you're not even going to come close to successfully printing certain types of filaments. So an active heated chamber is super important nowadays. Unless you just want to print PLA, then an active heated chamber really not a big deal at all. But with all these engineering filaments and all these fancy filaments coming out that actually require this, active heated chamber is a very sought out feature in most printers nowadays. Now I've had my printers for several months. I bought one several months ago when they first dropped, and I was one of the first few to have a K2 Plus. Now it's had its issues here and there, and let's talk about those issues. So although the machine is awesome, here's some things that I noticed with the K2 Plus that I'm able to work through, but I'm an experienced 3D printer. Maybe someone just getting into 3D printing won't be able to navigate these issues as well as I do, and maybe they are big issues to someone who's not as experienced. So I figured if you're thinking about getting a K2 Plus, that you'd probably want to know about these and decide whether these little issues that it has every now and then are huge hurdles for you, or if they're just minor stepping stones that you can overcome and not a big deal. So one thing I've noticed on the K2 Plus is that it loves to throw errors. Now I'm not saying it does it every single day or all the time, but I've noticed that its error mechanism is going to let you know anytime the printer has an issue. Even if it resolves itself, it's still going to throw an error code. Now a lot of people confuse this and think that there's something that they need to do, and sometimes there is something you need to do. It throws an error and it needs you to act on that error and clear the error or do whatever you need to do to fix it, and then let it know, hey, I fixed it, now you're good to go. But what I've noticed is a lot of times those errors that it throws, it's simply basically a notification letting you know, hey, this happened, but it doesn't really require you to do anything, and it's really confusing for a lot of people. So honestly, if you're going to get the K2, keep that in mind. That way, whenever you see an error, you don't panic and think like, oh my God, what do I need to do? Because sometimes you don't need to do anything but hit OK and just keep printing. Now, Creality needs to fix this, and it really needs to let the user know, like, this is an error and it requires action, or this was an error and it doesn't require action, or just don't even show me the error at all. If you resolved it, I really don't want to know about it, right? But it's something to keep in mind if you're going to have the K2, and that's my experience with my K2 machines, and that's with both of them. Now again, it doesn't do this all the time. I could probably count on one hand the amount of times it does it in a month, and I print quite a bit, so that's a lot of printing, and you know, 2 or 3 errors here or there. Most of the time it didn't require any action on my part. I just simply hit OK and kept going, which is actually great, but it is a little annoying. So if you watch my channel, you'll know that the other day I had an issue with the CFS. Now the CFS kept saying that there was a filament in lane number 3, and the printer kept saying, hey, you know, we can't retract the filament because there's filament in the way. And I knew there was no filament there. So honestly, these printers are very simple and they only function in a handful of ways, and they usually do kind of what you tell them to do. And then very rarely do they just kind of go off and do whatever they want to do on the side, right? So I opened up the CFS. There's one board that controls that CFS that lets it know, hey, there's filament here or there's not. So I went straight to the source, and sure enough, I had unmounted the board, mounted it back. It was a very simple fix, for me at least. Now, if you're not DIY or very hands-on, maybe that's a big deal. But just so you know, that's the first issue that I've ever had on my CFS units, and I have a couple of them. That's the first issue that I've ever had. Now, a lot of people have had jams in their CFS. It's a known issue on the CFS and even the K2 machine that the springs are a little bit tight. Now, Creality might be addressing this coming up in the future, but I've got a video on my channel. If you decide to get one of these, a really good mod to do would be to swap out the springs in your extruder and the CFS. Actually, put an adjustable thumb screw on your extruder so you can adjust your filament tension on the extruder. And let me tell you, when you do that, the K2 becomes a TPU printing beast. Over 100 hours printing TPU on the K2 Plus, just because I changed out that extruder spring and added a thumb screw so I can adjust the tension. Because honestly, there's no one set tension to be able to print TPU, PLA, ASA, PC, carbon fiber, there's no one set tension. Now for hard filaments, yes, there's one tension and you're good to go. But for TPU, the tension you're using for hard filament is not going to be the tension that you need to use for TPU. It's totally different. You can print TPU on the K2 Plus reliably. I mean, I've got over 100 hours without a single failure. It prints just like PLA, no problems. I can hit print, walk away, and it's actually great. The quality on the K2 Plus when it comes to TPU is amazing. And as far as speed, you don't have to slow it down. You don't have to print like a turtle to print TPU on the K2 Plus. I've even printed TPU on the K2 Plus at 125% speed with no issues. So if you want to do TPU and soft filaments, the K2 Plus can definitely do it with a slight mod. And I would do that mod regardless, just because you want full control over the tension on your extruder anyways. So let me think, what are some other things that I don't like about the K2 Plus? Oh, I know one thing, it is super heavy. So if you're thinking you're just gonna move this printer around every now and then, not the case. I mean, this is gonna be a printer that you're gonna wanna put where it's at and pretty much leave it. And you're gonna need a good solid place to put it, because this thing, it weighs a lot. It is heavy. With that, it's built quality. I mean, the frame on it, it has a matrix frame and it is solid. I actually like that about the K2 Plus because I keep mine stationary. They're pretty much where they're gonna be. And if I do need to move it, it's not gonna be very often at all. So heaviness for me is not a big deal. Now I do have to say the K2 got kind of a bad rap at the beginning. So if you're looking online, all you're gonna see is all the negative stuff. Nobody's really going on forums and Facebook and stuff and posting how much they love their K2s. I mean, they do, but not near as much as people posting problems. Now I gotta say that the problems with the K2 Plus are pretty much a 3 to 5% of people that have issues with the K2 Plus, and 95% of people love the K2 Plus. So don't let the forums and all the chat out there on the internet fool you into thinking that there's anything wrong with the K2 Plus. Because anytime a 3D printing company is making thousands and thousands of printers, every single one is not gonna be perfect. Now what you want is the percentage to be way greater than the negative. And in this case, it is. With the K2 Plus, 95, 96, I would say even 97% of K2 Pluses are flawless. They're great. They're awesome. They have very minimal issues, just like mine. But then you have your occasional K2 Plus that shows up damaged because FedEx has been really hard on these machines. I don't know why. I've never had an issue. Maybe it's due to the weight of the K2 Plus. But like with K1 Maxes, when all those shipped out, you didn't really hear a lot about FedEx damaging them. But when the K2 Plus came out, man, FedEx was so hard on these machines that the K2 really caught some of that flack. And honestly, a lot of it was due to FedEx. There was feet broken off, there was doors broken, there was things knocked loose on the inside that there's no way it left the factory like that, because Creality tests every single machine before they send it out. And so that machine was sent out in a working condition. Now, granted, some of these machines develop problems later. There's a very few percentage that happens, but a lot of it, I would say, has to do with FedEx shipping. They were just so hard on these machines. So you got to think about that when you order this machine. Hopefully your FedEx guy likes his job and he takes it seriously and he handles your machine with care. That's all you can hope for. That's out of Creality's hand. That's out of your hands. You just have to hope that he delivers it in one piece. And 9 out of 10 they do. There's a small percentage again where they just didn't deliver in one piece. Something was wrong. There's really nothing you can do about that. But Creality, they've been shipping out new legs, new doors. It's a super inconvenience if that happens to you. But again, that percentage is so small that honestly, I wouldn't let that determine whether you buy the K2 Plus or not, because that could happen with any printer that you order online. It's part of logistics. So let's move on to price. Is the K2 Plus worth the price tag? Now, I can't 100% speak to this because so far I haven't paid full price for any of my K2 Plus machines. I initially got the first one at a great deal because it was an early bird special. And then the second one, I got a great deal because I had some Creality store credits and whatnot. But if I was going to pay full price for the K2, I would still buy it. I initially had my first K2 Plus and I liked it so much that I went out and bought a second one. And then I decided to go ahead and phase out all the K1s and go ahead and upgrade to K2 Pluses. Now the K2 Plus prints are quality. They come out absolutely great. I don't have near the issues that I had on the K1 Max when it comes to Z offset, bed leveling, and all that nonsense with the K1 Max. I have zero of that on my K2 Plus. Honestly, I can't even tell you when the last time I looked at a bed mesh on the K2 Plus, because it just prints good and I don't have any issues. I haven't had one single issue with leveling, Z offset all of a sudden being out of whack, anything like that. So with my K1 Max, I was very in tune with bed mesh and leveling and using paper to level the bed and all that stuff. With the K2 Plus, I haven't had to do any of that. And honestly, I don't even run the calibrations very often. It's very seldom that I hit calibration on a print. Honestly, with the K2 Plus, I've just been printing and that's it. So to me, Creality's finally hit that sweet spot to where you can just print, and if you don't want to tinker, you don't have to. Now let me talk about a little bit more of the negative. So here's one negative for me. Although Creality is an open source machine, the K2 Plus is not as open as the K1 Max and the K1 series machines were, for the simple fact that you cannot gain root access to the extent that you could on the K1 Max. You can still gain root access to a certain extent, but nowhere near the access that you had on the K1 machines. And I don't like that. I really hope they allow us full access on the root side of things with the K2 Plus. But for me, it's not a deal killer because honestly, it hasn't hindered me from doing anything that I want to do. It's the tinkering side in me that wants to do certain things that for most of you, it's not even going to be an issue. That's just me wanting to do mods and all this other stuff. So if you like to do that, you are going to be hindered on certain things that you can do. Like I have a Raspberry Pi project that I want to do with the K2 Plus that it's almost impossible to do, but I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Who knows? I don't know if it's going to be able to happen or not, but I wish Creality would open up the root access a little more, or just equivalent to the K1 Max, and I'd be happy. But I enjoy the K2 Plus, so for me it's not deal killer. Now another negative that you might want to just keep in mind is the CFS is kind of loud. So you're going to hear that winding gear noise with the CFS, and it's not super quiet, but again, it doesn't do it all the time. It really does it at startup. If you have the auto filament read on, each one of those spools is going to do a cycle when you first turn the printer on. After that, it's very minimal. So for me, again, that's not a deal killer for me because my printers are in a room that's just for 3D printing and it doesn't affect my household whatsoever. Now, after the filament rolls sync with the CFS, after that, it's very minimal on the turn. It's like 1/8 of a turn every so often whenever the printer's actually printing. And it's the sound for that is very minimal. So again, while it's printing, it's not that bad. It's just when it starts up where all the filaments need to sync, then it's kind of a loud whining noise, but it's honestly, it's not even that loud. Now, when it comes to actually printing, the K2 Plus is super quiet. It's the quietest 3D printer that I've ever had. With the door shut and the lid on, all that stuff, man, honestly, you can barely hear that thing. Now, if you open it, the fans, I mean, they're pretty loud because it does have two big fans on both sides. It has a fan in the back, and then it has a model fan, of course. And then, you know, the fan in the back is the exhaust fan. Now, with all of those running, it's pretty loud, but when you shut the door, it's actually very quiet for what it is. So is the K2 worth the price tag? And for me, I gotta say yeah, because if you want to print engineering filaments, you're gonna be able to do that on the K2 Plus. Now, you're not gonna be able to print PEEK or anything like that, but when it comes to carbon fiber PETG, glass filled, ASA, nylon, PA6, PA12, carbon filled PA, all of that stuff, the K2 Plus can do it. ASA, it can do it, and it does it well. And that active heated chamber that I told you about, it comes in super handy, and it ensures that your prints don't just curl up off the bed. Now, as far as bed adhesion, it's your typical textured PEI build plate, and honestly, they work great for a little bit, but then they eventually lose adhesion. Now, to counteract that, what I use is Nano polymer from Vision Miner. It is absolutely amazing. I'll leave a link to this down in the description of the video. You can go pick up a bottle. It's a little pricey. I would go ahead and get the small bottle at $19.99 unless you have a lot of printers. Then get the big bottle, but this stuff will last you forever. It doesn't take much. It goes on clear. You can't even tell that it's there. So please don't use glue sticks and all of that stuff that look nasty. They're just ugly and they're a mess to clean. This stuff goes on clear, and it sticks super well, and it lets go after it cools. So you won't have any problems if you use this nano polymer from Vision Miner. I actually sent out some free samples to people on my channel who won giveaways, and every single one of them told me that they bought a bottle after they tried it. It was absolutely amazing. It'll change the way you print, I promise. Now, another thing that I did on my K2 Plus was I actually swapped the build plate on one of them to a Cryogrip build plate from BQ. Now, the Cryogrip, I believe, is an epoxy resin plate, which it sticks phenomenally. So it doesn't fit the K2 Plus perfectly. You're gonna have like a 1/4 of an inch gap in the back or the front, depending on where you shift your plate. I put my gap in the front, and that way the nozzle can wipe in the back. Now, if you want to put the gap in the back, you can, but you do lose a little bit of your build volume. But honestly, I never print edge to edge anyways, so for me, it didn't matter, and the benefits of having that Cryogrip build plate for me were just, it was a no-brainer. I'll also leave a link to that in the description if you want to check it out. It is the 356 by 356 build plate. It says it's for a Voron or whatever, but that plate will fit your K2 Plus. Again, it will be just a tad small, but it works, and it works phenomenal. You'll absolutely love it, I promise you. So yeah, for me, the K2 Plus is definitely worth the price tag. To be able to print all of those engineering style filaments, to be able to print TPU reliably and without a single failure and do it well, and it comes out amazing. Now, these are some of my most recent TPU prints. I printed the Whaleberry shoe from Maker World, and then I printed this Croc sandal that I designed. And I mean, look at the quality on this, guys. This thing came out absolutely amazing on the K2 Plus. I don't think you can ask for much more for a printer that can print PA6 or PA12 nylon carbon fiber or PLA silk, and you can go from printing all of that to printing TPU reliably and successfully every single time. I mean, to me, that is hands down worth it. So hopefully this video helped you out in your decision on what printer you're gonna buy. If you decide to get the K2, let me know in the comments. I'll leave a link for you. That way you can get a discount on your next K2 purchase. And hopefully this video helped you decide whether the K2 is right for you or not. Because who knows, maybe the K2 is not right for you. Maybe you don't want to print all these engineering filaments and it's just way too much printer for you. And honestly, you could save money by going with a little smaller printer or something like that. So that's my thoughts on the K2 Plus, guys. I hope the video helped you out. We'll see you in the next one. And don't forget, stay ready to 3D print.